Hey guys, Mrs. Bukaki here. This video, number 17, is using the quadratic formula, but we're going to have imaginary solutions instead. So let's take a look at an example. Okay, so here's my first example. Negative 2x squared equals 4x plus 3. I want to use the quadratic formula, which I'll kind of make a little side note here. It is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so we've looked at the quadratic formula. Now let's see what happens when we get some imaginary solutions. So the first thing I want to do is put this into standard form, meaning everything all on one side, set it equal to 0. So all I have to do really is put this negative 2x squared to the right. And that all equals 0. Now I can label my A, B, and C. So A is 2, B is 4, C is 3. Okay, and we can plug this into our quadratic formula. Negative 4, I'll use a different color. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is 4, so 16. Minus 4 times 2 times 3 all over 2a, or 2 times 2, which is 4. Alright, so here's everything plugged in. Now let's simplify. So we will have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16, and now I have a negative 4 times 2, which is a negative 8, negative 8 times 3, which is negative 24. So 16 minus 24 all over 4. We can do some simplifying right away, but I'm just going to take it step by step for you guys so you can see the process. So again, underneath the radical we have negative 4 plus or minus 16 minus 24 is negative 8 all over 4. Okay, so this is the point where I would like to kind of pull apart our fractions. So kind of like how, and I showed this example in my class, kind of how you have 2/5 plus 1/5, that equals 2 plus 1 over 5, right? They have a common denominator. So we can do the same type of thing. This is set up like one fraction, but we can pull it apart, and that can be easily, then we can easily see how to simplify. So let's go ahead and do that. So I have, here's one fraction, negative 4 over 4, plus or minus, and then the other one, square root of negative 8 over 4. Okay, so this obviously simplifies to negative 1, plus or minus, and now we have the square root of negative 8. So the first thing we can do is pull out that negative right away. So we have I root 8 all over 4, and we know that the square root of 8 can be reduced because its factors are 4 and 2. Here's our perfect square that we can pull out. So you're basically taking the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. We know the square root of 4 is 2, so we're left with negative 1 plus or minus 2i, and we're left with that 2 on the inside, root 2 over 4. And one more time, I can simplify this again still, and we're left with negative 1 plus or minus, and this is where I can simplify my 2 and 4. It's like saying 2/4, right? So plus or minus I root 2 over 2. And we're done. Let's do one more example. Here's another quadratic, negative x squared plus 5x minus 7 equals 0. You know what, right away, well, I guess we don't have to. I was going to divide by a negative 1, but we don't have to. So let's, everything's all on one side already, so we can set up our A, B, and C. A equals negative 1, B equals 5, C equals negative 7. Okay, so here's my a, b, and c. Let's plug this into our quadratic formula. Negative b, here I'll again jot it down, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I have a negative b, which is negative 5, plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, which is 25, minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 7, all over 2 times negative 1, or 2a, which is negative 2. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot of negatives going on here, so we have to be careful when we're reducing and multiplying. Okay, so let's see what's going on under the radical here first. So I have a negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25, and this time I have negative 4 times a negative 1, which is positive 4. Positive 4 times a negative 7 is negative 28. And that is all over negative 2. Taking this a step further, just write it over here. Negative 5 underneath our radical now is a negative 3, 25 minus 28, and that's all over negative 2. So this one's maybe a little easier because we can't simplify. Well, we can take the negative out, so that's where we get our I, but we can't simplify the square root of 3 any further. Okay, so let's take our negative out. Oh, and I forgot my plus and minus here. Do not forget that. Negative 5 plus or minus, taking our negative out of the root, I root 3 all over negative 2. And really the only thing we can simplify at this point is noticing that 2 negatives make a positive. So our final answer would be negative 5 plus or minus the square, I'm sorry, not negative, positive 5 plus or minus the square root of 3 all over 2. And we're done. See you guys in class.